You like navy too.
I love navy.
Blue is my favorite color.
Yeah, I like blue too. Where's, you don't have Kismet anymore?
Yeah, he's around.
Oh.
Yeah, he's around somewhere. Maybe he'll come out.
That was Kismet.
Coming in the front door.
Oh,
Hey.
Sharon.
Sharon! Come on in. I'm just about to start.
Sorry, wait.
It's alright.
There you go, your seat's waiting for you.
That's your name.
perfect timing.
Sean.
Oh.
That's your name. Oh.
Amanda said she was coming, but I don't know if that, she may come late. Yeah. So we'll see. Tanjit, do you want to start us off? Can you?
Yes, I can.
Of course you can.
Sashi
Puki Yukshing Me To Trang Ri Rabling Shi Nyen De Gen Pa Di Sangye Shin Du Mi Te Uwa Gi Dro Kum Nam Dak Ching La Chu Par Sho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami
Sangye
Chudam Soki Choknam La Janchu Padu Dakni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinyin Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Pinchu Sange Drupasho
Sangye
Chudam Soki Choknam La Janchu Padu Dakni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinyin Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Pinchu Sange Drupasho
Sangye
Chudam Soki Choknam La Janchu Padu Dakni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinyin Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Pinchu Sange Drupasho. We'll do a brief meditation. Turning the focus of your mind inward. Feel your body resting on the earth, whatever that looks like for you right now, chair, cushion. Take a deep inhale, so your body expands, crown lifts towards the sky. And then as you exhale, lift the heart slightly with your exhale as you relax the shoulders. Give yourself a little smile, which helps relax the jaw and helps relax the mind. Bring your awareness to the tip of your nostrils, and let's watch the breath as it passes. Noticing if you try to control the breath or have this instant kind of struggle with the breath or judging the breath, just let it be as it is now so that you can open and relax, be present with the breath. Now, think of the motivation for coming here tonight. What brought you here? Think about your long-term goals. And decide if coming here tonight would fit in with your plan. Is tonight going to serve you? Is tonight serving your highest aspirations? Or at least do you hope that it does? And if your motivation is so that you can help other beings, then you can learn things that will help other beings and change your mind so that you can help other beings, then really rejoice in that merit. Rejoice in the turn of mind, the movement of the mind that makes that kind of a choice, wanting to be of assistance. Every movement of mind matters. There's a result. So be happy about your motivation and also rejoice in the motivation of the people that are also in the class. Rejoice in, be really stoked about everybody's wish to be of service, everybody's wish that they could become the best they could be. See that as a beautiful thing and rejoice. So many beautiful people in the world trying to expand and grow and open their heart with wisdom and love. Then beg your teacher, whoever that may be for you, to help you understand Buddhist logic. Difficult to understand, sometimes hard to hold the mind there, but so full of potential to change how we think so that we can become a different brand of being in the world. Ask your holy teacher, your holy guide to help you, bless your mind. And as soon as you ask them that, they're right there. Like they never left, they've always been there. Just like you notice them just by asking them to help you. See them instantly appear in your heart. Feel the warmth of their presence there, filling you, blessing your mind's capacity, blessing your heart's capacity. And then see this light emit from them into your body and out of your body, and just shower many beings in all directions with your wish that they all be free of suffering and happy Happy for no apparent reason. The only happiness that counts. The only one that's going to last. Happy for no reason. And then that light withdraws back into your heart. And when you're ready, we can begin. Just gently opening your eyes and just doing your best to stay settled in your heart or in your center, wherever, as you open your eyes. So, welcome back. Courageous people, ACI 13. So I was mentioning earlier that I'm really, really hoping, this may mean that we get a couple extra classes added on, I'm not really sure, but maybe not. I'm really hoping that we can end our classes at 8:30, like the class part, and start like debating. Have a good 30 minutes of debating, at least every time, because that's where the action is. That's where we learn, and that's how we learn. That's how we learn, by really, especially in the beginning, bumbling around and just trying to get the formula straight. And in the beginning, that will just be enough, just to get the formula straight. And we're going to talk about it a lot, about how you be the attacker, how you be the defender. Things that we can do to get the truth out. Get the truth out and see it in such a way that it just pops in your mind, because it's like you walk into it or you find it. It's like you find it in yourself. It was always there, which is different than reading in a book or hearing it from a teacher. There's something about when you debate. There's something about the power of that, the heat of the moment that can, illuminate. Like, I don't know, last time we had this little debate, which was fun at the end, right? And did you find that after that, your mind was like kind of revisiting it and continuing, and almost like the debate kind of kept going in your mind a little bit? I don't know if you found that. I certainly find that, and have found that in classes where, like, well, my Lama's debated me or anything like that. There's something about that which enlivens the whole process of learning in such a way, because normally, if you think about it, some of the time we'll come to a class, and the teacher's talking, and sometimes it doesn't do that kind of thing where something's happening in your mind, where you're all kind of fired up and it's this little dialogue going back and forth in your mind. You remember that we made a brave attempt at proving past and future lives, right? And it went all over the place, which is exactly what it should do. A good debate should do that. It should just go wander everywhere, and while your mind kind of bends with it and tries to come back and around, and you gain this great flexibility and quickness of mind. It's fantastic. Like I taught in Chilliwack on the weekend, on Father's Day actually, and I went to a yoga studio, and it was great because all I went there to teach them was maybe, depending on who was there, a deeper understanding of what yoga is and what yoga can do. Maybe it wasn't deeper for maybe, I don't know, but they certainly hadn't been shown like the pen before. That was new, and it was great. So if you're well versed in logic, my whole idea that I wanted to do there, all I wanted to do there was go to them and prove something to them. I didn't want to go there and spout off a bunch of stuff and say, well, this is what the truth is. I went there and I tried to logically prove to them why the highest yoga is actually kindness. It's not a certain pose. It's not a certain breath. It's actually kindness. And we went all over the place. I played music, we talked, and we talked about the ultimate reality of objects and this and why we slipped karma in there. And it really felt like at the end, we all kind of had to agree. We had to agree on that because they agreed with the things I was saying. So I don't think I could have done that years ago if I hadn't really been excited about Buddhist logic, because you get the power of it. You get this this drive to make it meaningful for people in a way that's meaningful for them. So they decide, because when you use logic, they're making the decision. You're not saying this is what this is. Like, they're making that decision, not you. And so if you're an attacker and you're attacking like past and future lives, your job is not to tell them what past and future lives is. Your job is to get them to make their own decision that feels true to them, and they tell you because they've thought of it. It's very great. So just so that you're aware too, as we go through this course, we use a type of text called a dura. Say dura?
Dura.
It's a dura. So a dura text is a kind of a literature in Buddhist, where Buddhist masters of each college have put certain ideas together and they present them in a certain way. And the way that it's presented is why you will probably find the readings, if you do the readings, very difficult. Because they're always talking in double negatives, and they're always presenting wrong ideas first. And that's what they do. So their whole approach is, say if they're talking about emptiness, they're arguing about all the things that emptiness isn't, so that you can actually arrive at what emptiness is. So don't be worried or discouraged when you pick up the reading, because the readings to these courses is like a lifelong binder. You'd better off picking out like one of the debates and just trying to get your head around like one of the debates that are there, and don't try to like hurry through it, because, well, I'll tell you what, I'll read one to you. Like here's and also I'll say this is still difficult for me to understand, and I don't think that you'll be able to, unless you've got this crazy karma, crazy virtue in your mind, until we talk about all the elements of debate, this isn't going to read very well. Like, here is a second section, an outline of existence. Here we will refute the position of our opponents, present our own position, and then finally disprove their rebuttal. Which you'll notice that there was 3 parts there, which we'll talk about. Here's the first. Suppose someone comes up and makes the following claim. If a thing can be established as existing, then it is necessarily an unchanging thing. Consider then a water pitcher. So it is an unchanging thing because it can be established as existing. Doesn't necessarily follow. But you already agreed that it doesn't necessarily follow. So already you're like, what? Right? It's not correct to say a water pitcher can be established as existing. Suppose you say that it's not correct to say. It's like that. So if you don't really understand debate, this is not going to make any sense at all. The first thing that you need to know is that they're always going to give a wrong thing. There's no point in debating if you say the right thing first. The idea is to bring up a incomplete idea so that the truth comes out. So we're going to use 3 different duras, and this is sort of homework stuff, right? One is called the Yongzin Dura, which we heard about last week. The Yongzin Dura, which is the key to the logic machine. We talked about that last week. And Yongzin means a tutor to the Dalai Lama. And Purbachok was a tutor of the 13th Dalai Lama, which was what we talked about last week. So Yongzin Dura means that Dura text that was written by the Dalai Lama's teacher. So normally there are two Yongzins. When they recognize the Dalai Lama, there's two Yongzins that it becomes their job to help this boy, maybe one day it'll be a girl, to help this being remember, who they were and get them back to the place where they were before. And it's their job, so they teach and teach and teach. It's okay if this thing's just not, right? It's not supposed to, okay. Yeah. I don't need to worry about it going to screensaver. So we will also use a thing called a sei dura, and sei means sun, like spiritual sun, so sei dura, sei. So sei means like a spiritual son, so a close disciple of a great lama, for instance, would be called the sei, or a spiritual daughter, right? Spiritual son or daughter. I like to think like, a spiritual son of my lama. I like to believe that anyway. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. It's nice to think that I'm doing my best. Maybe I am. So the sei dura refers to a lama named Nyangwang Trashi. Nyangwang Trashi. He lived in 1648 to 1721. And he was a student of the great Zhangyang Shepa. And Zhangyang Shepa was the textbook writer from one of the colleges of Drepung Monastery. We also use the Ratu Dura. And the Ratu monastery, the Ratu was not one of the big monasteries in Tibet, but all the winter debates were held there. And this may be the first time we've heard about the winter debates, but in the monasteries every winter, they spend, I think it's 2 or 3 months, but day and night, they debate, and it's like a big tournament. It's like the Stanley Cup, but it's logic. And they send all their hot dudes, right? They send all their hot monks and hot nuns to these, and they all like debate, and then there's a winner. Some monastery wins the debates at the end. I don't know how they decide who wins, but they do that every year. And so Ratu Monastery was a sponsor of those winter debates because the debates were held there.
Who decides?
Who decided? That's a good question. I don't actually know. I don't know who decides, and in a way you can't say winner because there's no real winner in Tibetan debate. There's like, I'd like to find out one day, the Saramay Monastery just like smoked the Ratu Monastery this year. Like, I don't know. But you'll see when we start debating that there are debaters that are better than other debaters. Just like there's better soccer players. It's like there's some people are very, very sharp of mind and very good at debating. So maybe it was this group of monks were the best at getting the truth out the quickest. Maybe. I don't really know. Because I think what they do is they'll bring up ideas and they'll be debating all the things that they've been learning all year. And of course it'll be about compassion and emptiness and bodhicitta and all kinds of things that they'll be debating. And maybe that's what it is, Who got us to the most profound truth the quickest and the clearest? Which would be, I think, a good way to win, right? Maybe. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about debating, especially like it's all in fun. It's all in fun. It's all just hilarious fun. If you ever watch them on YouTube,
I saw one.
they're all laughing.
What I was looking like the guy just hitting and hitting.
Oh yeah. They get quite aggressive, but everybody's laughing, right? Yeah. So the Ratu Dura, we're going to use that one for the concept of time, which is going to be one of the last ones. Is that Amanda? Amanda!
Hi.
Come in. It's okay, just come on in, and we're just in the dry parts. we're talking about lists right now. Don't worry. So now I'm just going to explain the way that these duras are written. Okay, they're written. It's called gak shak pong. See, gak shak pong. This is the formula that they use. So the gak means to choke somebody or to stop something. So if you gak somebody, then you stop something. So in the gak part of the dura, you let the other guy come up first, and comes up with a wrong idea. He comes up with a wrong idea. Somebody will say, like, I don't know, emptiness is a feeling. Emptiness is a feeling. We'll say that, and then the refuter will do a gak, and he'll like blow away. That's not he'll gak and give him a proof that proves that that's impossible. Emptiness is a feeling, right? So in step 2, the shock is where then we set forth our own position. Here's the proof. Here's what emptiness really is, and here's why. And then step 3 is called the pong. That's when they come back with their rebuttal, and then we're supposed to re-blow them away again. We just like hit them again and shut them right down. Right, Kismet? Like, it's fun they volley things around, like we might say, well, emptiness means that no object in the universe has any nature of its own. And then they might say, well, I guess nothing exists then. Right? Stuff like that goes back and forth. And you'll find that it will always be about a lingering misperception about the idea in our own minds. So what they're doing us the favor of laying out in debate form most of our misperceptions about the ideas, so that we can get to the actual truth of it. So you will notice that over and over again in debate, that the debate's always going to start with a silly idea. You probably noticed that already in classes. I do it all the time. Bodhicitta is a flavor of ice cream, right? And that's how you get it started. I can't start a debate going, oh, bodhicitta is the wish to become enlightened, sick of all living beings, because where would we go? And it wouldn't be really of any use. No one would have to think about anything. And if you're a good debater, you pick out something that's subtle, that the other guy might not be able to disprove, that's close to the truth but not quite the truth. Like you might say, emptiness means that things depend on my projections. Emptiness depends on my projections. Turn disco now. Oh, so emptiness doesn't depend on my projections. You telling me that that's not what emptiness means? It means something else. I guess you can tell me what it means. I guess you can tell me why I'm wrong. You can tell me why I'm wrong. You can't tell me why I'm wrong. Somebody else can tell me why I'm wrong.
Projections come from your emptiness. It's the reverse.
Projections come from your emptiness. So emptiness is a positive thing. Emptiness is producing projections. According to Carol, emptiness is producing projections.
I remember that. It's an outcome of emptiness.
An outcome of emptiness. Oh, but still, emptiness is still doing something. Emptiness is a functioning thing. Emptiness is doing something. Emptiness is not doing something. Emptiness is lazy. Emptiness is not lazy. Emptiness is not lazy, nor is it not doing something.
Not doing anything.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning again. Emptiness means things depend on my projections. Emptiness does so mean that things depend on my projections because I have projections.
Oh, I can go back to an answer. You said, can you tell me what emptiness is? Now I can answer it.
Okay. You can't tell me what emptiness is.
Okay.
You can! Sure!
that emptiness means things lack self-nature.
So things lack self-nature. So you're telling me that emptiness means things lack self-nature? So are you telling me that I don't project my reality?
I didn't say that.
Oh, you didn't say that. No, yeah, you didn't say that, did you? Okay, but I am projecting my reality. That must mean something else. There's another word for the positive side of the whole process. Pardon?
Gotcha?
The gotcha. Oh, so the gotcha is the opposite of emptiness. There's emptiness in the gotcha. Tarji!
Your projections are based on your karma. That's causing you.
So karma is the opposite of emptiness.
Sure.
So there's no such thing as two realities.
Yes,
There is such thing as two realities. You can't tell me what those two realities are.
ultimate and deceptive.
I didn't say show. You can't say.
Yeah, you can see anything.
But anyways, just for time. Show.
Ultimate and deceptive.
Deceptive reality. Oh, so ultimate reality. Are you telling me that ultimate reality is emptiness?
Yes.
And then deceptive reality is something else. Deceptive reality is not emptiness.
True.
You can't tell me what deceptive reality is. Another word for deceptive reality. You can tell me. Show!
Samsara.
Samsara. So samsara is deceptive reality. Oh, so I guess that means nirvana is not deceptive reality. I guess that means nirvana is self-existent. No. Samsara and nirvana are both empty. So we can't use samsara as a definition of deceptive reality. There's okay. Things emptiness means that things exist independent of my projections because they're empty. They don't have any essence. So they're independent of my. There's nothing there.
No.
No, it means something else.
Things
So-
are interdependent.
Things are interdependent. So you're saying that things originate dependent upon my perception of them? Is that what you're telling me, you crazy person?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't tell me what another way of saying deceptive reality. Dependent origination. Oh, dependent origination. Oh, okay. So if I say emptiness means that things depend on my projections, and you're saying that's not emptiness, you're saying I'm wrong, then I guess what you're telling me is what I'm really saying is things depending on my projections is dependent origination. Oh, thank you.
You still haven't said the opposite.
Well, it was the opposite because
Deceptive reality then?
deceptive reality is dependent origination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I opened it up, so we had to see it was just tricky enough for me to say, emptiness means that things depend on my projections. Which, if you don't really understand emptiness, you'd say, okay, right? So emptiness doesn't. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Emptiness doesn't mean that things depend on my projections. Because emptiness is simply a lack of self-nature. So emptiness is a lack of self-nature to the things that I'm seeing. But so the opposite of that, so you can put it this way. Emptiness is a negative thing and dependent origination is a positive thing. So things are dependently arising, right, which is like a positive thing happening. I am perceiving this marker as a marker because my karma is forcing me to see a marker. But that's dependent origination. This marker is dependent upon me. The perception of this marker is dependent on me. So it's right? Which is the flip side of the same coin. They're married together.
So the
flip
opposite
side.
of emptiness is dependent
Yeah.
origination.
It's the opposite, but it's like the positive way of saying the same thing.
Question.
Yes,
It
Sean.
seemed to me that we were. So the original statement was emptiness depends on my projections. And it seems to me that you could look at that the debate could go two ways. You could look at emptiness as being the subject of that statement, or you could look at the projection as being the subject of that statement.
Oh, Sharon's getting really tricky here.
And to me, when I was listening to that, in my mind, emptiness was the subject of the statement.
Right.
And so I was looking to see what emptiness depends on if it's not your projections. Whereas
Right.
the answer that we got to made it seem like the projections were the subject.
But I said, but right. What your point is very, very good. But I said emptiness means. If I said emptiness depends, right? If I said emptiness depends upon my projection, then we would have been totally in a different track, and suddenly emptiness would have been the subject. But I said emptiness means, right? So that's
very
very
an example of
right.
that we were talking
Yeah.
about.
So which is
Just trick something
yeah.
like 90%.
Yeah, it's so close to the truth, right? So that's a good point. See, and that's how you can like really be tricky in a debate, is by one word being there or not being there will change the whole slant on, right? Because emptiness is empty.
But that is your job, right? Like as the attacker.
Yeah.
Like tricky
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
In order to
get
to get
to
it
draw out the truth, right? And in order to, because that makes us. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the room was like right with the whole thing, right?
So I guess what I don't think maybe everybody else was, but I don't think I was, and that's probably because I was focusing on emptiness as being
Yeah.
the subject. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I didn't follow it that way, but I
Yeah.
guess it's important to be able to see that right from the beginning, to see what the subject is. But I probably just missed it. Because
Yeah. But see, so that's a good point. You see, because you're making a very good point, and that is that if I was just debating you, and we were following the debate formula, you wouldn't have been able to explain that to me, because you would have only been able to say yes, no, your reason doesn't follow, and I would have had to figure that out. Just like last time in the debate, it took me a while to figure out that Carol and I were talking about two different things. She had an idea, and I had an idea. I wanted to go somewhere, and we were kind of talking about the same thing with different language, but it took me a while to figure out that the common ground was not there for a second, and because Carol couldn't just say this is what I mean, then we had to go all the way around trying to come back. So if we were debating, and I would have been doing this, and then finally I would have had to say like, okay, well you mean something else then, and then you would have said, well yeah, well, but you're saying emptiness is this, and then I would have figured it out. Oh, he's saying that emptiness is the object here. Then I would have had to reattack. So it's brilliant. See, that's a very, very great point. And you're going to find that when you're debating, is that you don't know what the defender's thinking. And when they answer you, you just don't know. And they could even answer you in a way that they know is wrong. And you're allowed to do that as a defender. You can just say, yeah, when you know it's no. Because then the attackers just doesn't matter. They have to deal with it. They have to like get up their chops, right, and try and force the defender into the truth.
Going back to what you said,
Yeah.
so does emptiness depend on your projections? And it does.
Okay, you can look at it this way. Things are empty. The fact that things are empty don't depend upon your projections, but the idea of emptiness depends upon your projection. Emptiness is empty, right? And like a person's understanding of emptiness is just as empty as anything else. So I could say emptiness And someone could instantly, oh yeah, get it. And someone else who's been studying for 4 years would still be going, there he goes again, right? So emptiness, like whether I know about it or not, this cup is empty.
But the fact that you can see that as empty ultimately is your projection.
Right.
Yeah.
But what doesn't
Change the
It doesn't
emptiness
change
of
the
that.
emptiness of it.
Yes. I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, that's entirely dependent upon, the truth. My understanding that it is empty is dependently arising from me, for sure. But that does not change the fact that it was empty before I walked in the room.
It's a concept.
Emptiness.
Emptiness is a concept.
Emptiness is a concept, but it's also a truth.
A conceptual truth.
But it's a concept. It is definitely a concept, and a person's understanding of it is going to depend on their karma and dependent on. But it doesn't need you,
No.
right? A concept is something that we need, that we use.
Oh, okay.
But reality doesn't need you. It'll be there when it will be there when you're gone, but your reality won't be. You'll be in someone, like your reality will be different. Yeah. Amanda just came back from retreat. She probably understands now her whole body is a concept. Yeah, if you sit down long enough and you stay still long enough, you have to come to the conclusion that this whole bloody thing's a concept. Which doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right? That's what allows it to exist, just the way that it does. Anyway. Well, we got tangled up there for a while. So, which is awesome. So when I'm going to just say right now, when we start debating, oh my God, Carol, what happened to your leg?
I scratched it. I'm like that.
Were you riding your bike?
I garden. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
very
yeah.
active.
Well. So when we start debating, there's a mantra that we do, and it goes Om Arapachana Di, Om Arapachana Di, and it is the mantra. Is Manjushri's mantra. So Manjushri is known as the wisdom emanation of an enlightened being. Like Manjushri teaches wisdom. Right? And D, like D-H-I, D, say D, D, is considered an important syllable, especially in the Tantras, for wisdom, to ignite wisdom in your mind. So before we would enter into debate, we would do all our prayers, like we talked about last time, and get your motivation up, so I'm not going to be competitive, but I want to help my friends and myself. Then everybody would inhale, and we'll do it together right now, and you inhale, and you're going to go Om Arapachana, and then you go D D D D D D D D D D, and you say D D D D D D D D D D until you completely run out of breath. And that's supposed to have some kind of effect on your mind. Okay? So are you ready? It's going to be Om Arapachana D D D D D D D. So let's do it together. Inhale. Om Arapachana D D D D D D D D D D D D If you run out of breath, yeah, then you're good to go.
You don't go longer than the teacher either.
Oh, really?
Well,
I was the master, right? It's the boss.
out of respect.
I don't
No,
know.
I know.
I don't know. And then we would start debating. And you remember last time we did this thing, and I went down on my knee and said, I went, Di chitra chu chan. I said that to Carol. Right? And what that means is, how about this one? Let's debate this. How about this one? And then you get to say anything you want. I could just say, because my arm is purple. And that's all. And then it starts. And she can talk my Drew. She goes, which means bad reason. And you just start. And that'll start the debate.
What was it? Di chichu.
Di chitra chu chan.
Di chichu.
Di chitra chu. But I'll get you guys all a handout too of all the. I think actually Emrys made one a while ago, didn't you? With all the nice terminal. Yeah. So that's a brief little intro into the structure of kind of the Dura text and also what we'll be doing. But the subject tonight is a heavy subject, and we're going to try and blow through it as fast as we can and get debating. The subject for tonight, whoa, is that the cat hanging off the door? He really wants out. Yeah, he got let out a couple times, now he's hooked, but he can't go out because we don't know what will happen. So the subject for tonight that we're going to talk about that is an important debate topic, say Shi Drup Ki Namshak. So Shi Drup means existence, or things that you can establish as existing. And Namshak means everything you ever wanted to know about. So we're going to study all existing things, all existing objects tonight. Are you an existing object? And what has this got to do with your personal life? Why would we want to, study all existing objects? Because we're bored senseless. No. Hopefully not. Talk, Madru. It's very important for understanding emptiness. Because what's going to be happening over the next little while is if we can establish certain truths about some things, then that has to also apply to other things. So that what we're trying to really discover is all existing things have no self-nature. And that if we study the nature of all existing things, that will get us quicker to seeing emptiness directly, which will then, what that will do for you. That will stop your suffering. And then you can help all other beings. So yupa, say yupa? Yupa means existence itself, or all existing objects. Okay? And there are some synonyms for yupa. One of them is seja, say seja, which is a knowable thing. Something that can be known. That's a synonym for that. If it can be known, that means it exists in Buddhism. Another synonym for all existing things is chu, which is Tibetan for dharma. So if someone says dharma, it also applies to like the dharma. There's so many meanings of dharma. One of the meanings is the teachings. We study the dharma. It also means all existing things, or any object is a dharma. So it can be confusing. They would say like this marker is a dharma. It is one of the objects that qualifies as an existing thing in the broad category of all existing things. So it is a dharma, this marker. So another synonym for yupa is shidrup, which means anything that can be established as existing by a valid perception. These are all synonyms for existence or an existing thing. And yul also means object, any existing object. So those all mean the same thing. Those are all synonyms for all existing things. So, we need to know what is a definition of an existing thing. What is the definition of an existing thing? Anybody want to try? Some of you probably already had this in ACI 4. What is the definition of an existing thing? Pardon?
Anything that can be perceived by thought.
Yeah, anything that can be perceived by a valid perception. So what's a valid perception? What's not a valid perception? What's not a valid perception? Anybody want to try?
When you're drunk.
When you're drunk, when you're hallucinating on acid. How about when it seems like the bus is moving? No, it seems like your car is moving, but it's actually the bus, or it's your bike. It seems like your bike is moving, but it's the bus. So that's not a valid. That's an incorrect perception. Where you see a leaf and it's blowing in for a second, it's a squirrel. Usually, most of our perceptions are valid. Like 99.999% of our perceptions are valid. The nature of an invalid perception or incorrect perception would usually, like 2 minutes later, you go, oh yeah, no, that was, or right after, you go, oh no, that was the bus that was moving, not me. Ooh, I feel sick. Or you're completely. Did we say this, that if you're having a mental affliction attack? Did we mention that one? No, we didn't. So it's also an invalid perception if you're freaked out with anger and you can't see right, or you're freaked out with jealousy and things just seem a certain way. Then you find out later that they're not, and that's usually the way it is. You realize later, oh my God. We do all kinds of things like that. Especially in relationships, right? We can be angry at someone and blame them for things that they didn't even do, or they don't even mean, and we can conjure up these stories in our mind that are wrong. I mean, one of the greatest ones I ever experienced was one of my past relationships. I was in this relationship, and I was in such a low place that I really had the perception that she would be much happier if I wasn't living there, and actually she didn't really like me that much, and was just like waiting for me to get the whatever courage it took to actually just like leave. And that went on for years because I was very depressed, and I was like pretty much very, very selfish and kind of helpless. To help myself was very bad for a while, and she was helping me all the time. But I was also very delusional about a lot of things at that time. But later, when I finally, this relationship is like definitely over, and I'm gonna move out now, we had this discussion, and I said, I'm sorry that I was like that for so long. I definitely feel better now, but you must be relieved that I'm going. I'm finally out of your hair. And she looked at me like I was completely crazy. He says, no, I've been in love with you this whole time. I've been like with you and in love with you and just kind of waiting for you to come out of your thing. She didn't want me to go. But it was too late. The damage had been done. It was too late. And that completely rocked my whole world. Because I was holding on to something being true for years that wasn't true. And that was that she really didn't like me. Like really didn't like me. And it felt like she didn't like me. And it felt like that I was irritating to her. And that I was a big old pain in the ass. And I was very afflicted. I was very afflicted. I was very down. I was very depressed. I was very angry. So I had a very invalid perception of the situation. So when we're we all have had these. You're just completely overthrown by some kind of mental attack, and then you find out later that things just weren't the way you thought they were. So that's why one of the examples is, if you're overcome with affliction, it's not a valid perception. Also, I should say, before we go on, most of what we're going to be talking about in this course is the Sautantrika school. We haven't talked a lot about that, or by now, it's ACI 13, so by now we should all kind of be happening with what school is what school. But it's the logic school, which is not the same as the Majjhimika Prasangika school. Their understanding or their of what ultimate reality is and how things are dependently arising are different than Majjhimika Prasangika. And so Majjhimika Prasangika, their belief, they hold that their ideas aren't quite complete, but they're useful. They're useful ideas, but are not quite complete. And it's just, and it's not like they're a lesser school. It's more like it's a necessary step to get to a higher understanding. So some of the things that we, that's a big, it was like a, that was kind of like a magic trick. So some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about won't make sense to Majjhimika Prasangika, but it will be useful. All existing things can be divided into two categories. Two categories. And what are those two categories? I know someone knows here. All existing things. There's only two kinds of all existing things.
Changing.
Yes. Changing things and unchanging things. So we've got all existing things, and then there's a broad category, and then underneath that we have two divisions. One is all unchanging things, and then all changing things. And there's a lot of changing things, and there are very, very few unchanging things. So now we need to talk about an important idea. This is takpa and mitakpa. Okay, so takpa means sometimes it's translated as takpa will mean permanent, and mitakpa will mean impermanent. And that, according to Geshe Magaroj, is not a very good translation. And we're going to talk about why. Why it's important is because where it's mistranslated as impermanence is important in relation to emptiness, in relation to understanding emptiness. So we'll just get to that in a second. So mitakpa, okay, changing things, comes in two forms. So there's also two kinds of changing things. It's changing in two kinds of ways. It's changing, no, you don't want to go on there. It's changing, there's gross impermanence and subtle impermanence. Okay, gross impermanence, and is it hot in here? Should we turn the fan on? It looks like you guys are going to melt. And the fact that we're talking about all these different things probably is not helping. So there's gross impermanence and subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence, like an example of gross impermanence is a cup falls out of your hand and smashes. Okay? That's like you're just witnessing the gross impermanence of an object. It's just done. It's finished as a cup. Okay? The subtle impermanence of an object, and this is important because one of the things that you'll see when you're getting close to seeing emptiness directly is the subtle impermanence of an object. So the subtle impermanence of an object is the fact that it's going out of existence as soon as it's in existence. And that's like, right? Like 65 times per finger snap, everything is changing, but you can't see it changing. It's changing in a subtle way. It's kind of like, in a way, this is not quite subtle impermanence, but you put your sweater in the dryer, and then you take the sweater out, and it looks the same, but some of the sweater is in the lint trap. Right? Right? So it's like our lives are like that. There's always a part of us going into the lint trap. But it doesn't seem like it. Okay? So that's why, like they say, the cause of our death is our birth. So anything, as soon as it's created, it's beginning to degenerate. We can't see it, but it's subtly impermanent. Okay, so those are the two forms. Okay. So a changing thing is defined. Here's a definition of a changing thing. Something that only lasts for an instant. Something that only lasts for an instant. So there isn't anything that is a changing thing that is lasting for more than an instant. In a subtle way. In a subtle way. That's hard to see. That's very hard to see. You have to be in deep meditation to see that. I mean, who knows? Maybe Amanda saw the subtle impermanence of her body. You can get that if you go 10 days. You know, maybe on the 8th day, things start looking a little freaky, and you start getting to this a deeper understanding of the subtle impermanence of your body. Then you can, just by talking about it and kind of understanding it, because you can understand that, but to see it is something else. So that's like the meaning of impermanent and permanent. One sticks around, one doesn't. One lasts, one doesn't. Something permanent lasts, something impermanent doesn't last. Like when we buy something, right? We have a fleeting hope that it's permanent. You know, we buy a car, we buy whatever. We have this idea that it's going to stick around. And then it begins to prove its impermanence to us, especially if you buy a vehicle. It begins to show you that, well, this is going to cost you money. Things are going to be impermanent. Is the fan okay? Okay, so
What's permanent then?
permanent would be an unchanging thing. We're going to get to that. Yeah. So here we're going to find out why impermanent and permanent is not a very complete description. It's better to say unchanging and changing. We're going to see why. Okay. So emptiness is a classic example of something that is unchanging, or a classic example of something that is permanent. It's not a changing thing. It's a permanent. They say it's a permanent thing. Okay, so let's see if we can discover in debate format why it's not so good to say that emptiness is a permanent thing, which is the same thing as unchanging. Okay? Let's just consider this cup. Let's consider this cup. Is this cup a changing thing? Yes, the cup's changing. Is this cup empty? Right. is the emptiness of this cup permanent? Why not?
Because once the cup breaks,
Right. Once the cup is out of existence, there's nothing for it to be empty of. So when the cup comes into being, the emptiness of the cup comes into being. But does the emptiness change? Is it ever, when the cup comes into existence, from the entire duration of the cup's existence, when it comes into existence, for the entire duration of that time until it like smashes and is no longer a cup, is it any more or less empty?
No.
So is the emptiness changing?
No.
No, the emptiness is not changing. So we can say that emptiness is an unchanging thing. But Taranjit just told us that emptiness is impermanent. Because as soon as the cup goes out of existence, there's no emptiness there. So the emptiness of this cup ceases to be. Right? So that's why we prefer changing and unchanging versus permanent and impermanent, because when you start talking about emptiness as being something permanent, it's not as healthy for the mind, because then you're starting to think of something that has some kind of permanent essence that's going to stick around forever, which it can't, because it depends on the object for it to be there. Which, now we're getting like in trouble, because to talk about emptiness in that way, because it's not something that's actually there anyways. Yes.
question.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about emptiness and about your reality of it,
Yeah.
and then when you're no longer there,
Yeah.
didn't you follow that up with that the emptiness is still there? Something of that nature you said? I'm paraphrasing.
Well, the emptiness of the object is still there. Like,
When you were talking about, like, I thought you were talking about a person and the reality for them,
Yeah.
and once they're no longer existing, an emptiness still exists. Something like
Well, yeah.
that nature you said.
yeah, I mean, emptiness, like for instance, the emptiness of this, what I was meaning, and maybe it wasn't quite clear. So what I was meaning was the emptiness of this cup is there. As long as there's a cup there, then the emptiness is there. It's like it doesn't matter if you know that it's empty or not. And if I die and this cup is still here, and a dog walks in the room and sees something they want to like knock around, they're seeing it as a toy because of its emptiness. So its emptiness, the emptiness of the cup, is not dependent upon me being aware of it, but emptiness, but the concept emptiness and my understanding of the concept is totally dependent upon my perception of it.
What about the emptiness of that cup versus your emptiness?
Same. Exactly the same. They're exactly the same. There's no difference. Tricky.
I think it's hard because we're talking about it in the positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Ness.
yeah.
Emptiness. Something, right? Empty of, right, is easier. Empty of. And this is why we're going to be talking so much about these things in such, and throwing double negatives around. We're going to learn all kinds of ways to talk about emptiness.
The double.
The double negatives, right? It's not a cup.
That's,
It's not a cup.
is that the emptiness?
Anyways, we'll keep going. Okay. So me talk about an unchanging thing. So an unchanging thing, the definition is a thing which exists that is not changing by the instant. Okay? A thing that exists that is not changing by the instant. There's only a couple examples.
That's
Emptiness.
permanent?
that would be permanent.
That's permanent.
That's permanent. Or we don't like to use permanent, so that would be unchanging,
Unchanging.
right? Something that not changing by the instant. And there's only a few examples, like emptiness, empty space is an example, but also another example is a cessation. A cessation. Like, for instance, like a kind of a classic example is, at some point in your life, you have a cessation of the belief in Santa Claus. And that is an unchanging thing. Because it's not like you're going to all of a sudden start believing in Santa Claus again. Unless, something really strange happens. But, yeah. So, in the binders, you'll notice there's a couple of classic examples of changing things. And it's cool to think about it because these are old texts, right? So it would have been some lama sitting around a hut in India trying to explain emptiness to his students or her students, and they would have used what was ever in the room. Because how many changing things are in this room? It's full of changing things, right? So one of the classical examples is the stick holding up the roof. What's a classic example of a changing thing? Oh, the stick holding up the roof. And the other one is bumpa, which is a vase, a water pitcher. So you'll often see them debating about the nature of how a water pitcher exists, you see? Because there was a water pitcher there. But now where it's all about the pen, right? So if they were rewritten, it'd be like a pen, not a water pitcher, right?
We
So
have a water pitcher right
true.
I just heard water picture. Before I kept thinking, picture made with water, thinking, okay, that's going to evaporate. So that's
Oh,
I kept thinking.
wow. I feel like the conditions in this room aren't so good. Is the fan drying your eyes out? Is it okay?
Is it drying your eyes out?
No, it's not drying my eyes out. But I'm not getting hit by the fan.
Oh, not really.
Everything's okay?
That's possible.
Everything's cool? Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about. Here's a very important synonym for a changing thing, right? Another word that means the same thing. And this is going to be one of the things that is going to be fun and tricky to get the head around, is all the different things that also mean changing thing. And one of them is functioning thing or working thing. If it's a functioning thing, it has to be a changing thing. If it's a working thing, it has to be a changing thing. Right? What's the definition of a functioning thing? Or a nupo in Tibetan? Anything which can perform a function. I guess emptiness must be a functioning thing, right? Emptiness is a functioning thing. Because it does something. You see emptiness directly and you're an Arya, so emptiness does something. So emptiness is a functioning thing. Emptiness is a functioning thing.
No.
I'm getting like, everybody's like, no it isn't, John. Which is exactly how you should be. No. Oh, you're saying emptiness is not a functioning thing? Oh, you're saying, oh. Emptiness is so a functioning thing because without emptiness there will be no cup. So it functions to make the cup exist. No? So the emptiness is not functioning to make the cup exist? Emptiness is so a functioning thing because if there was no emptiness, then I couldn't become a tantric deity. So emptiness is doing something. It's a functioning thing. Emptiness is so a functioning thing. It's not a functioning thing. Sharon looks very certain. Okay, Sharon. You can't explain to me why it is that emptiness is not a functioning thing. I can't explain it. You can! Show! Show!
Because emptiness is not a thing.
Emptiness is not a thing. So emptiness doesn't exist. Emptiness doesn't exist now.
It does exist.
Oh, emptiness exists, but it's not a thing. So it's not a thing. It's not a thing you can perceive. Oh, I guess I'm screwed. I can't see emptiness. What's the definition of an existing thing? Someone tell me what the definition of an existing thing is.
A changing thing.
A changing thing is an existing thing. So there's no existing things that are unchanging.
Emptiness is unchanging.
Emptiness is an unchanging thing. But I'm never going to see it. Poor me. Because, I can't be seen with a valid perception according to Strong because it doesn't exist. Okay, well I guess we're back to emptiness is a functioning thing. Because it does something. I see emptiness directly, I become an Arya. Emptiness is doing it. Emptiness does something.
It's not a functioning thing because it's an unchanging thing.
It's okay. So it's not a functioning thing. So again I'm screwed.
It's not functional.
It's not a functioning thing. Because it's not a changing thing, because I can't change. I can't change. Just because I saw emptiness, I can't change because it's an unchanging thing. My life is ruined now. Thanks, Amanda. It's ruined all my hopes and my dreams.
You killed it.
You might as well go home now.
It's a functional.
There's no difference between emptiness and seeing emptiness.
There is a difference.
There's a difference between emptiness and seeing emptiness. So you're saying that emptiness is one thing and the perception of emptiness is another thing? Oh.
No!
So what you're trying to tell me is that seeing emptiness directly functions, but the emptiness itself doesn't function. Oh, thank you. I believe it.
Is
Well
that
done, Carol.
Sure it is.
This is the first thing.
Yeah, because emptiness can't be a functioning thing because it's a negative thing. It's an unchanging thing, so it can't. But the actual perception of emptiness is something that's happening. It's a functioning thing, and the perception, the person perceiving the object, right? So it's actually the action of seeing emptiness, which functions as producing the argument.
you're changing? The emptiness isn't changing.
Not at all.
No? The
No.
emptiness is changing
No.
you?
No.
No. The emptiness is unchanging. Emptiness is the same.
Exactly.
That's why I was messing around to try and
But
get you to
said
do exactly this.
Somewhere in there you said that emptiness functions.
Well, yeah, I was saying all kinds of wrong things.
Okay, so get the punchline then. What's the punchline?
I did. The punchline is, well, Carol said it. Tell us the
You said
punchline.
it. You just,
Oh,
she just
God.
went.
Oh, okay. Well, no, Carol.
let's
Trying
get
to
it.
I just said, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'm.
Okay.
I
Carol
said
says there's a
it.
difference between. Carol says there's a difference between emptiness and the perception of emptiness. What is it? You tell us.
Emptiness, okay, well, emptiness is not a thing. It doesn't have a function. Perceiving emptiness is different, it has a function. It exists because it's valid. There's valid perception. I want to say that there's a difference between emptiness and our concept of emptiness. Am I messing things up with that? Because of perception, you said perception of emptiness. Just say perception of
Isn't this fun? Turns out no, it's not fun.
I don't buy
Great.
it.
No.
I don't buy it.
What don't you buy?
I don't buy that. I believe, well, obviously I haven't seen it just directly, but I believe it's your perception that changes, and you're suddenly aware. You've got a whole new awareness, rather than that emptiness functioning on me.
That's what we just said. That's what we just said.
Then I'm getting.
What I just said was, the emptiness is unchanging. Emptiness doesn't ever do anything, but just what you said. Your perception is definitely a changing thing, definitely dependent origination, and your perception does change. You have like suddenly you have a direct perception of emptiness, which has been an intellectual up until that moment. Then your perception changes, and then you finally understand emptiness for real.
So emptiness does not have a function.
Emptiness does not have a function, but the perception of emptiness does.
Which is
Seeing.
goes back to the subject, goes back to the observer.
Yeah, it changes the observer.
Yes.
The observer is changed by the seeing of it. So, cool, right?
Yes.
But does it have a function? No, I'm not
It's
sure.
no. So emptiness is not a functioning thing. Yeah, emptiness itself is not a functioning thing.
Functioning is a synonym for change.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be talking about a lot. Because functioning thing and changing thing and working thing,
It's good to know.
active thing are all the same. They're all underneath changing thing. Okay, quickly. Very quickly. Oh my lord. Okay. There's three divisions. There are three divisions of changing things. Okay? Three divisions of changing things. One, say suk, physical things. Physical things, like the water pitcher, the cup. Physical things. Another word for physical thing is pembo, which means a thing composed of atomic particles. But the emphasis here is on just a physical thing, okay? Here's a definition of a physical thing. Anything that can be pointed to as a physical thing. Because how else are you going to prove it's a physical thing? So it's like, if you were trying to teach somebody what the color blue was, and they'd never seen the color blue, you could never explain it so that they actually could understand the color blue. You'd have to, here's the color blue, here it is. So this helps us understand what they mean. Anything you can point to is a physical thing. Yeah. And a classical example of that is something that is hot. So you'll notice that in these duras, and as we debate, we'll get better at this, they often say, it is, for example, like this. Like the proof is, exists in like this. It would be like the definition of a physical thing. Anything that can be pointed to as a physical thing, for example, like something hot to the touch. Because you touch it, and well, yeah, that's hot to the touch. It's a physical thing. Two, the second division of changing things is a mental thing. A mental thing, okay? And this is tricky a little bit, but the definition of a mental thing, or it's invisible and it's aware. Okay, it's invisible and it's aware. And we have to kind of be careful because the mind is ineffable, right? It can't be located, it cannot be touched. It's the great mystery, right? The mind. The mind is the great mystery. And that's why we meditate, and that's why we plant all our virtue and serve and study, because we're to get to the deepest understanding of the nature of the mind itself, because the mind itself is the thing that is causing all the trouble and causing all the joy and causing all the and once you get to the ultimate nature of your mind, then you'll be free. Then you'll be able to actually understand what's happening in reality. And there's layer upon layer upon level of that understanding. And whatever like plane you're on as far as your understanding of how the mind exists is exactly perfect for what you need right now. And it will increase, and you'll go deeper and deeper until finally you reach the ultimate understanding. And you'll be like an enlightened being. But just an example of a mental thing would be a mental event like happiness or wisdom. Happiness or wisdom, right? You can't, it's invisible, right? But it's aware, it's a mental thing. So that's another division of changing thing. So here's another really cool example of a changing thing, another division of changing thing. A changing thing that is neither mind nor matter. For example, a person, like Tarnjit, right? Because Tarnjit is an idea. Tarnjit in quotation marks, right? Like we can see Tarnjit, and you can say, I'm hungry, and she'll make you an Indian feast. But we can't really touch the concept Tarnjit. It's because everyone has their own concept of Tarnjit, including Tarnjit, right? So, like, my mom died, but the concept of my mom didn't die, right? So, like, mom in my mind is the concept. Even though her body's not around, she still exists as a concept. The official definition of an active thing which is neither mind nor matter is a produced thing which is neither mind nor matter. And there are certain things which are neither mind nor matter, which exist, like, where they have debates about this, like bakchak, or a mental seed, or karmic seed. It exists in the mind, but it's not mind, right? And it's not matter, but somehow it exists in the mind, it's carried through. There's debates about these.
Can you repeat the definition?
Yes. An active thing, which is neither mind nor matter, is a produced thing, which is neither mind nor matter. That's one of the... Yeah. Because you can't, Taranjeet's not her body, and she's not her mind alone. It's the concept of Taranjeet. So that's what that is. That's another category, and that could also be any other kind of living animal. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be like that, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. Now we are going to do some debating. Yeah. Very cool. So right now, we're going to talk about how to stand. Does anybody here need to borrow a rosary or a mala? Great, because we got 3 of them here. And I'm sure Mishi has one somewhere if there's a 4th one needed.
You need to have.
Well, it's just good to...
Okay. I have
You have one?
a makeshift one.
Oh, really? Why me?
Oh, no, it's, we're going to just... we will all be using it.
Don't be afraid of the mom.
Does anyone else not have one? Because I think there's
I don't.
one in the house. You don't have one? Sorry?
I forgot.
Okay, so everybody stand up.
That's the perfect color.
We're going to practice. We're going to practice the debate posture of the attacker. Okay. No, not quite. So, hang the mala on your wrist just like that.
Your what?
In your left hand, yeah, with your palm up.
Why you like that there?
There's room in the front, Taranjeet.
She's hiding.
Taranjeet, don't hide in the back. Okay. So we're not gonna go totally into what all these things signify, right? But we're just gonna do a couple of them because they all mean something. So hold your left hand palm up and grab the mala with your right arm, and then pull it up your shoulder, and then lean back on your right leg and lift your left foot, and then stomp your foot and let go of the mala and slap your hand. Yeah, okay. Beginner, you can. Yeah, let's do it. And you go. Yeah, like that. And then we're all gonna go show. We're gonna go show. Show.
So.
And so it's like shook, but you say show, shook, shook. So come on. Shaw! And make like a mean kind of like a debate face, like, come on, give it to me. Give me the truth. Give me the truth. Shaw! Good. Good. One more time. Shaw! Oh, okay. Okay. So that will be your classic, as you're attacking, you'll be your point will be sitting down and you'll be like, I mean, it's just a functioning thing. You can just walk away and look back at them. Right? And you kind of wait for, so you're taunting this person. You're taunting this person, okay? So, and the defender usually just sits down, right? But if you're debating with your friends and stuff, you don't have to do that. You could be, because it'd be great to hang out with your Dharma friends and debate the stuff. And you can just, like my Lama Roger does this. Maybe this is a functioning thing. That's what he does. I've never seen him with them all at one time. He just does this. Okay, so that's the stance. Now, everyone say, Di Chitta Chuchen. Chitta Chuchen. That means, how about this one? Let's consider this. Di Chitta Chuchen. So, now I don't think we need to go into too much because there's, we're going to go into it a lot, but there's 3 parts to a statement that are important. And one is there's going to be the subject that we're talking about, there's going to be the quality that we're trying to prove about the thing, and there's going to be the reason that we're giving that is the proof. Like the classic one is consider sound, it's a changing thing because it was made. Right? The subject is sound, the quality that we're trying to prove is that it's a changing thing. The reason why we're using that is because it's a made thing. Sound is made, so it's a changing thing. And in order for that to make sense, the person needs to agree with you that sound is a made thing. It's not just to come from nothing. Right? So, I just think that's good enough for actual class, and we can get right into some debating. I just want to say, because we'll get into like fun things to say later. We're going to go into that a lot, but if you want to really progress quickly in your logical understanding of your Buddhist information or teachings, and you happen to be debating, keep the comfort level low, and the desire for the truth high, right? Because nobody's comfortable, right? Everyone's squirming. The attacker's got a really hard job. The defender also has a hard job. Everybody's ego doesn't want to look. Nobody wants to look stupid, and so everyone is just having fun, and everyone wants to get to the same point. So, which is the truth of the matter. All right, so let's debate. We already kind of did some cool debates in class, so we actually managed to do all this. So we got 20 minutes now till 9 o'clock. So, how about we can do the same thing as before, do a line debate so everybody can watch? Yeah, is that a good idea? So let's make a line again. We'll make a liner, like a line facing the center aisle, so that the center aisle is open. So how about someone decides to be the attacker? It's not me. Because I'm, Carol's just ready to jump over.
I will.
She's ready to go.
Because I don't know what I'm
Do it.
doing, and I'll do it. But I think I'm
They're
not
holding
sure.
many things.
Well, we can maybe we'll like make Amanda do it. She's in the show. And I can be the defender, or someone else be the defender. I can actually be like the coach. I can be the coach. I'll be the coach. Okay, Sarah, you're gonna defend. All right. Okay. Amanda, you better hurry up because you're the attacker.
Hurry up.
That's good.
Yeah, you just because you're in the back. Sarah, and you're going to stand over here, and I'm going to be like the coach. And so, okay, the first thing I want to say is, let's not even be concerned about anything about having fun, and we'll try. We'll try to. Yeah, we'll try to follow some kind of formula. So, Amanda, you've debated like a couple times, right? Like, so you sort of have an idea.
So it's the object, the quality of it, and the
Yeah, and we don't need, we don't need to be too concerned about that yet. It's just our second class. We're just touching it. So what you need to do right now is decide just something that you'd like to debate, or someone can throw something out that Amanda can try and debate, which you'd like to just lash around for a while, as Roger would say.
okay.
Lash something around.
Somebody throw something
Something easy.
Well, okay,
None of it's easy.
how about pronunciation? Or let's know you had something?
out. No, that's good.
Okay.
So
So then you would come down and go like this on your right knee and go and
future to choo-choo.
say pronunciation.
Renunciation.
And then walk away.
Renunciation.
Walk away like mean business. Yeah, and then you can start just, and whatever, the important thing right now is, I think right now for our purposes, the important thing is not to ever ask her a question. Always make it a statement. And we'll get into the Tibetan answers later, but for now, unless sorry, you know, we're talking about Yoga. So whatever you say, you're going to make a statement. And you should start out with something wrong. Don't hit us with the right pronunciation. Or just do whatever you want, but don't make it true. Right.
Okay. So I do this standard thing.
Yeah.
That was at the same time, right?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Prohibition.
Let's consider renunciation. Renunciation is makes a person really happy because it means that when they renounce something, they accumulate lots of material wealth.
And then you slap. So what I want to say to you right now is Amanda, or the attacker, doesn't have to form a three-part statement, which I always thought when I first went to debate that they had to make a three-part statement. So Amanda could have just said, what was the thing?
I said, consider renunciation. It makes a person really happy because.
Right.
So I said.
So you could have said, Amanda could have said, renunciation makes people happy.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't have to give a reason until she kind of demands a reason, right?
Oh, so you just like hooking them.
Yeah, you kind of throw things out there until, so the three-part statement is to when you want to give a proof or give something wrong, like you could say, and like you just nicely did.
Yeah.
You said something that wasn't accurate
Yeah.
at first, so it was good. So I just wanted to say that you don't have to think of a three-part statement every time you make a volley. That's all. I just wanted to say that that was perfect what you did. I just wanted to say you can just, because you'll notice when I'm in class, it's not often that I'll do it. I'm just like and it's quick, right? So.
Okay. So renunciation makes a person happy.
Yes.
Yes. It does. How does?
You can't say how.
Go to the bedroom.
So renunciation makes a person happy because they get everything that they ever wanted.
Yeah.
Yes. So they get everything they ever wanted, all the material things in the world, all the love and happiness in the world, everything they ever want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that now they change.
So you're telling me that renunciation just by renouncing the things of the world, the person gets all the things that they want,
Yes,
all the material things that they want.
yes.
True.
Yeah.
You think that's true? Okay.
No, say no.
They get a mic.
So you're telling me that a person simply just has to decide to renounce something, and they actually accumulate lots of material wealth, which will then make them happy.
Yes.
Yes. Self-consistently make them happy.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, she's messing with you big time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, and you see how the defender
Knockout.
can just like win a debate by just being, you know, like an asshole.
Did
Yeah.
you just call me an asshole?
no, it's
Right? Just no problem.
Okay, no.
No. Make him under for it.
I
Like,
feel
this is-
bad though now.
No.
Call me an asshole.
I'm getting
No.
sweaty.
I was just trying to be funny. And
Okay.
no, Amanda must deal with whatever you say, and you can say whatever you want. You know, but if Amanda's struggling, she can ask for help, or she can also say things like, "Well, I can't deal with a crazy person."
she can
Oh.
Because what Amanda's gonna have to try and do is make you contradict yourself.
Yeah.
You see. You're gonna, and then you say, well, you just said this. You just contradicted yourself. So you're gonna have to force some kind of contradiction up. So just have fun with it.
So where did we end up?
That material things make you happy.
Yeah.
So you're telling me.
Here she comes.
Sorry? What's that? So you're telling me that material things make a person happy self-existently and are coming from their own side.
So you could have just said, oh, so you're telling me that what was it? Material things make people happy. Well, that's it, and you could have stopped it right there,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, I'm gonna-
Well, so material things make people happy. No. So you have to get the truth out, and then you try to get common ground, right?
Okay. So material things make people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come ask her a question.
See?
Yeah. So a person comes along and gets given a car. Cars and toys make people happy.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is perfect. Now you're in a perfect position right now to blow her away by offering proof about people owning cars. Yeah.
So, okay, hold on. So a person so basically what you're saying is that a person goes out and buys a Porsche and
Hold on. I'm gonna stop you right there.
okay.
I'm
Too many
gonna
words.
make a point. So what did you say? A person that buys a car.
A person goes out and buys a Porsche.
You know, before you said yes, it makes right. A person has a car, it makes them happy.
Yeah.
Person buys a car, makes them happy. Sarah says yes.
It makes them happy all the time.
Yeah, and then so
if
what
somebody doesn't own a
what
car,
do you do here? Now this is I want to show something here. So just stand.
I don't own a car. I don't have to.
This is allowed. Say if we feel like Amanda's stalling out, I can just go like this. That's totally.
What is the
That's
word?
totally allowed.
Oh,
Yeah, and Amanda can like push me out too. I
Can
can
I
just
kick you or just push
no,
you?
I'm pushing. It's all in fun. And sometimes so I can go oh, and I say so every person that owns a car is happy.
No.
Very nice.
Oh,
Now you got
So,
home ground.
right-
Oh,
right?
that's a tough one.
But you told me that.
right. So that's it. So then you trap her right away. So every person that owns a car is happy,
Yeah.
right? And then Sarah's in trouble,
Yeah,
Because she's saying.
right?
yeah.
So this is really cool because you started with renunciation, and because Sarah didn't sort of play along, right? She kept saying yes. It forced the thing to steer around. Everybody contemplate the nature of material things, and
What is the magic of
you could go all the way around to things being impermanent.
Yeah.
And this could go right into the impermanence
Yeah.
of material things. It could just explode into this. because you don't know what Sarah's going to do. So you may feel like you're directing it as the attacker, but you're not. It's more like the defender is directing it, and you have to try and keep coming around. So anyways, I'll stop. So I just wanted to show you that.
It's good to not overthink it as well. I find I'm overthinking it.
Well, that's what happens when
Yeah.
we start. Is we.
It's not automatic.
It's not.
No, it's not.
So anyways, I just said, oh, I guess everyone that has a car is happy.
Okay.
And then Sarah's going to have to respond to that. And she said no.
Oh, but I thought earlier you said that having a car and toys makes people happy,
Yeah.
self-existently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she said, yeah, I did say that. And then you can say, oh, so now are you
So now
are you
saying-
are you changing your mind now?
Okay, are you changing your mind now then? Same
No.
thing. No.
So now she says no. If she says no, this is when
Oh,
you go,
I'm
well, I
not
can't agree with
yeah,
crazy.
crazy.
You just walk away. Because
Yeah.
because basically now she's contradicting herself. I can't agree with a
Yeah.
crazy person. You just walk away.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And then
Alright.
right? And then you come back and if Sarah keeps like going back and forth and you're just going in circles, you're saying the same, you're going in circles, and you have to and then Sarah will choose to go along and say, okay, fine, okay, fine, you can have it. Cars don't make people happy.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, you can have it. And then you have to try and get back on track
Okay.
as far as, right? So this is good, Sarah.
So saying to Sarah,
I'm not cooperating.
are you changing your mind? That's a question.
Which,
Yeah.
no, you can say, no, oh, you're changing your
So
mind.
you're changing your mind. Okay.
Right, but she didn't really. But no, but
She did change her mind though.
did she?
Yeah.
After I walked away and said,
Oh, after
you're-
I walked
or
away.
after you walked away, so I can't do it with the crazy person.
Then what happened?
Well, then I can't really. You come back and you say, okay, make up. You can make up your mind.
Okay.
One minute you're saying that cars make people happy, then one minute you agree with me that they don't. So which one is it?
Yeah.
Right? You
Okay.
say,
What will it be? The cars make people happy,
Yeah,
or do
and
they
the
not
shield.
make people happy?
Sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do. Okay, right. So, so for some, what you're saying is some people are happy by cars sometimes, and some people aren't happy by cars. Okay.
okay, so now we're into a different zone.
Yeah.
See how it's just jumping all over the place? Now you're going to have to come to a common ground about what happiness is,
Land.
right? Like, so if you're trying to get to renunciation, so you're trying to think, okay, how do I get Sarah to say that it's by renouncing the idea that an outside object, has the power to make me happy. How can I get her to say that? How can I get her that to come out of her mouth? And she just said sometimes. So then you're going to have to try to get in towards permanent happiness, right? Right? You're trying to get to change the definition because what she's saying is true. Some people buy a car, they're happy, and then you're going to have to say, oh, you mean, permanent happiness,
Yeah.
right? And then you have to make her go, okay, no, okay, fine, I admit it, not permanent happiness, and then you, right? That's how you go. What time is it?
It's like,
55. Okay,
oh, you're 5 minutes.
5 more minutes. And if anybody
Someone
else wants
wanna
to
go.
have a go at it,
Yeah.
anyone else feel like having a go at it?
Come on, you chickens.
Carol, Carol, Carol is.
Frenchie cocky.
Ranjit and Carol.
You know.
And we,
Together.
we need a couch.
We'll do together. Does someone else want to be the defendant?
No,
I'm the
No,
defendant.
no, Carol wants
No, yours.
Okay.
Carol wants to take it down. No?
You want to do the
Do you have them all, Carol?
No, I'm
yes.
yes. Oh, you can.
And also Sarah can ask for help too.
defendant? Push away.
Alright, okay.
Want this?
You want to sit on?
No, I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Leave the longer one.
No, fine.
Oh no, you know what? Just don't have to get. You just go up to here and work.
Like this?
Hold it.
Yeah,
It's in the left, right? It's in the left side.
Other side.
Oh, yeah.
Other side. You just hold it in your hand like this. So let it hang.
Yeah.
And then just pull it up. So it's and just look. Yeah, so it
Oh,
comes
wrong
down-
hand. This hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Practice at home.
Whoa.
Asian,
Now we know what
Asian version. Quick fire.
So happiness. Happiness.
I love it. Are you recording it?
We're
Right?
talking about happiness.
Going
And
to watch it.
people are happy when they get cars. They're happy forever, are they?
Okay, okay. So
Don't say it like that.
you can't say it like that.
That's a yes,
But you
no.
can say, well, happy forever. And
Okay.
it's, then I'm not.
They're happy forever, are they?
That's fine, sure.
Oh,
Good enough.
Yeah, that's
And we have
No.
class
they're not
twice a
happy
week.
forever.
Oh, are they happy forever because their happiness changes?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like
Yeah.
she's like a stone. Yeah.
Well, that means
Good technique. Good form.
Like,
that happiness
like combo is like
must be permanent.
10.
To be happy, it must be permanent.
What? How did we get there?
You can't say that. You got to say yes or no.
You'll say
Or-
yeah. You say yeah.
Make no
Can I
sense.
say huh?
You can say huh, which means repeat what you just said. You can say, can you repeat that?
Can you repeat that?
Ah, true happiness is unchanging.
That's a good
Agree.
one. Ooh, that's
Do
a
you
good one.
agree that true
No,
happiness
just
is
say
unchanging?
No, wait,
No,
relax.
That's good.
That is
Happiness,
really
true
good.
happiness is unchanging. Bang, and then just she's.
That is really
Sarah,
You're not
this is
making any sense.
Sarah-
no, Sarah, this
Well,
is
you
coming
can't do
from the car thing, right? When you said
Yeah, I
to
know,
me,
but I'm
No,
Sarah- Sarah-
No,
Sarah's
no,
not allowed to
this
say
is-
you're not making any sense. Sarah can only
Forget what's
say
in the past. Just
I agree.
answer this one.
Yeah, Sarah's gonna say I agree, or I don't agree, or you're not, or your reason doesn't make any sense. But she didn't give a reason.
But you just follow the progression of the debate, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
whatever is in the past.
That's all.
She didn't give a reason.
She just said, what did you say?
I said,
Happiness.
true happiness
Yeah,
does,
she did say
isn't
because-
does not change, isn't changing.
Right. True happiness isn't. So then you say no or yes.
Okay.
Then you get to because Sarah.
Okay.
Is that yes?
Okay, you're saying yes.
Okay, yes.
So she's saying yes.
So, true happiness isn't changing. Do cars change?
What?
No,
So-
consider
so
that.
cars change.
Consider that. No,
Cars change.
consider that cars change.
Stars to them.
Yes. So, given that cars change, can cars provide unchanging happiness? No.
Ooh.
No. So,
Ooh.
cars cannot bring happiness? True happiness?
Is that a question?
You say car. So.
So, if I consider that cars
So
do
you
not
say
bring true
because
happiness.
of
I
given
didn't
what,
say that.
given what you just said, Sarah, then cars cannot provide permanent happiness. Bam.
Given what you just said, Sarah, cars cannot provide permanent happiness.
Yes.
Ah, so permanent happiness, given that, Sarah, permanent objects of this world cannot provide, objects of this world, regardless how pretty, cannot provide permanent happiness. And what was our original?
Renunciation was the original topic.
Okay, so the what we see in this world, all the pretty things in this world, will not provide happiness to us.
Right.
Okay, so you know
To
what?
provide-
We're running out of time because Tony's gonna go. So what I'm gonna do is get to the show.
Wrap up.
So I'm gonna wrap it up.
sure.
So,
Sure.
everybody- so you just
Take me.
okay.
push
So
me aside.
That was
Okay.
good though.
yeah, it was great, right? So
we are.
all the pretty things in the world cannot
Excellent.
all the pretty things in the world cannot provide permanent happiness.
Yes.
So, to understand that the things in the world cannot give you happiness has nothing to do with renunciation. I'm just getting to the point
Here
real
we
quick.
go with the negatives.
Right? Understanding that the pretty objects in the world that we are attracted to cannot give us happiness has nothing to do with renunciation.
Oh
Well, it has something to do with renunciation. It has something to do with it. You can't tell me what renunciation is.
no.
You can't. You can't tell me what renunciation is.
Pronunciation is.
You can't.
Yes,
You
I
can't.
can.
You gotta answer me. You
Yes.
can. So
Yes.
you can't. Well, you can't then.
No.
No, you can.
Yes.
Sure.
You can't tell me.
So tell me what renunciation is.
Why do you have to say you can't tell me?
Because it trips the mind up. It makes the mind. You're constantly like jolting the mind into another way of thinking that because
Okay.
we're used to thinking
Okay.
in a different way.
Yeah.
So bless
Okay,
us,
yeah,
bless us with
renunciation.
what renunciation means.
Pronunciation. Excuse me. Oh, wrote me.
Okay, so we could go. No, I could debate that. Oh, so giving up. So according to you, then, if I give away all my stuff, I have renunciation. You see? Right? Well, okay, fine, Sarah. If you, from what you're saying, all I do is just have to have a house fire, and I have renunciation.
Okay, let's go.
Anyway, it's time. So
Yeah.
right. So, but she didn't quite say renunciation
Passionate, yeah.
because she didn't say that. But anyways, so
Sarah.
fun, right? So that's class
No, you know, you clarified.
9
Yeah,
That's what we want to do.
9:02.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Buckle my shoe.
3, 4.
We'll get Tanjeet to closing prayers. Sangye Shindu Miteuwa Gidro Kumnanda Shingla Chupasho Sunam Yeshe Zog Zog She Sunam Yeshe Dejun Wei Dampar Kuni Dopasho. Thank you, everybody. That was fantastic. I should have turned the thing towards the video. I forgot. I did last time.
Oh, we have this song.
The sound is there.
There's the thing.
Yeah. So good job, everybody. Great. That was really great. Yeah, and it'll get easier, and as the formula gets in your mind, it's just going to get more and more fun. Thank you. Can you do that thing? Wow. Actually, that was just cool. Good job. Way to not like just.
Yeah.